thanks to Chris. And I know it's a big match for Graeme today, but going in with this new method, I think he's got a chance. I think we all do, but more importantly, I think Graeme himself thinks he's got a huge chance this afternoon and this evening.
Chris Henry working with Graeme Dott certainly seems to be paying dividends. Interesting to hear him talk about how he strikes the ball and how he aims the ball, which I would have thought is fundamental to playing snooker. What particularly is he teaching him technically? What is he actually showing him to do?
Well, it's a few things. First of all, he's just trying to reintroduce him to the centre of the cue ball. It sounds a bit sarcastic, but that's it, because occasionally you stray a little bit. Maybe your lining up of the shot is wrong, or you're putting side on it, or you're just seeing the shot wrongly, or you're just putting lazy side on, which you might, with players we call it, where, you know, the angle of the ball, you're playing it with a bit of side that way. Stuff you don't need to do. The other thing, if you saw it, but Chris Henry was holding a little small snooker ball there, a little cue ball, like a ping pong ball. When I first saw that, I thought, this looks ridiculous, but actually it works. And I think what it does, if you hit this ball incorrectly, and it really is exaggerated. So he's now thinking, OK, well, I thought I was hitting the ball was centre. Now I realise it wasn't. This is centre of the ball. It's all to do with your eyesight and all that kind of stuff. And now he's hitting through the middle of the ball, keeping it simple. You see a lot of club players who put lorry loads of side on the ball all the time, but they're not very good players. Basically, the best players in the world are plain ball, wonderful strikers most of the time. And now Graeme has relearned that again. That's the technical side of his game. What about the mental side of the game then?
I was quite interested in what he said in his interview there, that it just give me 6-6 and I'd like to be involved in the final. To me, it's almost like putting pressure on himself to get a good start today. I wouldn't say it's negative, but it's like it's saying, you know, I just pray I'm still involved when it gets to the latter stages. This final can be won in the first session because we play 8 frames. I would be surprised if Neil Robertson wasn't targeting 7-1, 6-2. Graeme should be doing the same, not just thinking, praying I'm involved when it gets to tonight.
Can't wait to get it underway. It's coming up. After a week of drama, we're now just moments away from the start of the World Grand Prix final. David Hendon and Alan McManus are primed to take us through after the break.
Suddenly, it all becomes clear. Trusted Trader, sponsoring Daytime on ITV4. TrustedTrader.com.
This is the hybrid that charges itself. The new Lexus UX uses 2 sources of power, petrol and electric, with no plugging in. A small detail for those who see a bigger picture. This is the new Lexus UX self-charging hybrid.
Irritation after shaving? Choose Nivea Men's Sensitive Shaving Gel for ultimate protection from shaving irritation. From the UK's #1.
When your home needs help
and the problem's too big to ignore, post the job on My Builder
and get someone who you'll adore. My Builder.
Not just any builder, My Builder.
1 in 2 people in their lifetimes will be diagnosed with cancer.
It changes everything. It changes your whole world.
I look at myself every day in the mirror and see this person that I don't know. And that's hard.
You wouldn't really expect that to happen when you first, seeing the world.
And all your friends are playing out and...
Yeah, and I'm stuck in a room.
Research is making chemotherapy kinder, radiotherapy less destructive, and survival rates are higher than ever.
For just £2 a month, you could make a real difference.
You can help Cancer Research UK achieve their aim of 3 in 4 people surviving cancer.
We need the research now and constant money coming in that can be depended upon.
The pace of this all is moving so quickly. It is getting better. Every day it's getting better.
If it wasn't for scientific research, my son might not be sitting here now.
You are investing in somebody's future. You're giving them their life back.
Scientific research is actually absolutely legendary.
Yes.
When your boiler goes wrong, everyone suffers. With British Gas Home Care from £14 a month, that's just 46p a day. You can book a local engineer and you can get an annual boiler service. So the moment you have a problem, make it our problem. Buy selected home care products online by the 24th of February to get a gift card worth up to £75 to treat yourself. Search British Gas Home Care. British Gas, here to solve.
What's up, Peloton? How are we doing today? We're live from the studio. Let's do this. Accept nothing but your best. Resistance up. Let's go. Hour and 500, you're flying up that leaderboard. We've got this together. This is it. One final push. 3, 2, 1, and recover. You crushed it. See you tomorrow, Peloton.
Try the bike at home for 30 days with full refund and free pickup.
Oh, the Virgin Media sale is now on. Lightning fast broadband for just £27 a month.
Now that gets the seal of approval. Lasers!
Get lightning fast broadband for just £27 a month and check out more great offers from Virgin Media.
Sandbanks, home of big shots, billionaires, and this man.
Pull your pants up! This ain't Southend, you know!
When you've had nothing and you've grown up like that, you appreciate things more, don't you?
Cheers, Sandra.
Harry Redknapp's Sandbank Summer starts Wednesday the 19th of February on ITV.
Who done it? He did. Trusted Trader, sponsoring Daytime on ITV4.
JustATrader.com.
Coming up this afternoon, a rerun of the 2010 World Championship final as Neil Robertson meets Graeme Dott. Robertson's recent European Masters win was his 17th ranking title of his career. For Dott, well, that last ranking success came at the 2007 China Open. Today, he gets the chance to end that 13-year drought. So after an enthralling week of snooker, we are counting down to the start of the World Grand Prix final. David Hendon and Alan McManus are ready to take us through the opening 4 frames. But first, to introduce the players, here's our MC, Phil Seymour.
Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to a very lively Coral World Grand Prix here at the Centaur at Cheltenham Racecourse. This is the final. It's a best of 19 frames. It's time now to welcome the players. We begin with the man who dispatched Ronnie O'Sullivan en route to the final. He's a 2-time ranking event winner and former world champion, the Pocket Dynamo, Graeme Dott. And his opponent, playing in his 3rd ranking event final in as many countries in as many weeks. He's a 17-time ranking event winner, the reigning European Masters champion and champion of champions, Australia's greatest ever player, the Thunder from Down Under, Neil Robertson!
I think the first thing to say is that this is a good day for indoor sport because the weather outside is absolutely foul, but the snooker promises to be a real treat. These two have played so well all week. Of course, Neil Robertson in his 3rd ranking final in as many weekends. Graeme Dott looking to win his first ranking title for 13 years. It's going to be the customary photographs with the trophy. First to 10, remember, will collect that plus the £100,000 first prize later tonight. Two players who relish the big occasion, and I think we're all looking forward to this final. They play 8 frames, remember, this afternoon. Leo Scullion is the referee in charge. And a big crowd have made it through the bad weather here in Cheltenham to enjoy every ball of this match.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The first frame. Neil Robertson to break.
So Neil Robertson, who a fortnight ago won the European Masters, who a week ago was runner-up in the German Masters, is going to get the World Grand Prix final underway.
Business as usual, Neil Robertson. Graeme Dott was also in the semi-finals of that German Masters. He's no stranger in recent times to a big occasion like this. But his heart will be beating. I'm sure of that.
Yes, it would be the largest ever gap between ranking event wins. It was the 2007 China Open, the last success for Graeme Dott, although it's interesting, the 2 ranking events he's won, the World Championship and that China Open, he beat Ronnie O'Sullivan in both of them, and of course he's beaten him this week, so maybe that's a little omen in favour of Dotty. Problem he's got to beat the informed man at the moment, Neil Robertson, if he is to win. Robertson, who I think finished off very well last night, have been put under pressure by Kyren Wilson. Yeah, it was interesting. Stephen was saying what he said about, you know, if it's 6 each, I fancy it. What he means is he can't afford to let Robertson streak away with this. Of course, the tournament he won 2 weeks ago, he won 9-0 in the final against Zhou Yulong. Just got ahead early on and motored to the line.
Graham's savvy match nouse there. Going into play early on. He left the right to left middle. I don't think Neil's going to be interested in it. That's where Graham's clever. Shots to nothing. Shots with a lot of value.
Ranking final number 29 for Neil Robertson, looking to win his 18th title. He would move into 6th place on his own. At the moment he's tied with Mark Selby on the all-time list of winners. Head-to-head is 10-6 to Robertson. The first time he beat Dott was in that World Final 10 years ago. An emotional occasion as his mother flew over from Australia. First time she'd ever seen him play live. This is almost literally the calm before the storm. A Nothing potted yet.
Neil might have the upper hand in this exchange at the minute, but it's not really worth anything until he gets the reds out in the open.
Enjoying this?
Enjoying this, Graeme asked the crowd.
Yeah.
Well, they are going to re-wrap, in fact. So 5.5 minutes. And we're going to start all over again. It's often the case, once reds start going into bulk, it just gets cagey. They start going into the pack, and they just saw that not going anywhere. There's enormous respect between these two. We heard Neil Robertson say, you know, certainly the players don't regard Graeme Dott as anything but a top player. I think anyone who's been world champion, you would feel that about him. Of course, he beat Robertson on the way to winning that title in the quarterfinals in 2006. He beat O'Sullivan in the semis, Peter Ebdon in the final. And he's been in 2 other world finals as well. Of course, Robertson beat him in the second of them.
Yeah.
So we're going to start all over again.
Thank you. The first frame, Neil Robertson to break.
I think with that little 5-minute passage of play illustrates is how hard Neil's going to have to work. Yes, of course, Graeme's going to have to do the same, but he'll have to work his socks off to eke chances out against Graeme. Comes from a tough school back home in Scotland. On that point though, Neil's first mistake then, just on that point, Neil's shown this week already that he's been closed out of matches a couple of times and been able to respond. That's going to be a feature of the match today. Graeme will have his moments, he'll have his extended periods of domination, I expect.
One.
Not exactly position A with a cue ball, snooker and everything.
Yellow ball.
Nominating yellow here.
Graeme Dott, one.
Yeah, 3 very different opponents for Robertson in these 3 finals. Firstly, a newcomer to a ranking event final, Zhou Yulong. Then Judd Trump, of course, world #1 world champion, been in many finals the last year. And Graeme Dott this week, who hasn't been in a final for a while, but he's a proven winner in the past. Some achievement, though, for Robertson to be in ranking finals on 3 successive weekends. A lot of snooker. High quality snooker to have had to have played to put himself in that position. He will have a day off tomorrow, though, before playing in the Welsh Open on Tuesday, where he's defending champion.
Didn't look an awful lot, but that last safety shot catching it thin, which he had to. A nice settler. Early sign, seeing it well, as is Neil. Middle pocket. Doesn't appear to be anything on. The right corner, just got that hair thin, probably tracking in behind green. As is always the case. These type of situations, Graeme, having a look there. Don't push a red over the corner.
Thank you.
Referee Leo Scullion immediately looking just to check if he can see a red full ball through green and blue.
Yes, Leo Scullion, who refereed the World Championship final last year. I think what we're already seeing in this final is both are very wary of the other's abilities and not looking to leave any sort of chance early on.
Now's the first chance for Graeme to play an aggressive safety shot, hand on table in behind yellow-brown. You'll see this is a good chance, figure of 8 with a cue ball. Spotted the red in the deciding frame against Michael Holt, not dissimilar to this. That's a stunning shot. That is a stunning pot. Red was tough. Pink was even more difficult.
7.
I'm only guessing, but Neil Robertson must feel like the boss out there. 3 finals in the spin, winning one of them, as David said, 9-0. At the very top of the final, business as usual. reserves of power with control come into play. Deep screw. Struggled in, but it's there. And now, by the aid of 2 or 3 brilliant pots, he's earned himself a chance to, well, at very least, a big lead in the opening frame.
He's made 4 centuries during the tournament, including the highest break so far, 140, which would be worth 10,000. If he wins the tournament with the 100,000 as well, he'd go over $500,000 for the season in prize money. And don't forget as well, there's a bonus for winning the Coral Cup. Whoever does the best in the 3 Coral Series events, that's another 100,000 going to somebody.
21.
Declan did know. He's won a tournament of some description every year since he won his first in 2006. It's a record he's very proud of, because he's already
27.
got 2020 stamped with that European Masters success.
28. $34. $35.
Quite a nice shot this in the pink. Going back for the red. You land high, you bring the black into the game. You land low, pink's waiting. Yeah, just high of straight.
41.
I don't think he's going to risk. No, I certainly won't be risking bringing the black into play off this, but now this becomes a wee bit tricky to get the correct angle off the pink. Sensibly going deep screw for a high
42.
pink. Oh, this is perfect. That's the shot. That is a fantastic shot. Quite deliberately. Just note for a left-hander as well how easy to reach this being high. What a start.
Yeah, it took a while just to get in, of course. We had the
48.
re-rack, then the safety battle, knocked in that red. Very good pink to follow as well. That was an early pressure ball.
$49. $55.
The little plant, the 2-ball plant of reds, the one that's farthest away from the cue ball, it should push past the pink to clear the pink to the same pocket. I wonder if he might just go back for blue just in case. Yeah, he played it a percentage. And it hasn't paid off.
Neil Robertson 55, Graeme Dott 4.
See that red on the right, it did spring off. Yes, he played it with more pace, but it did look like it was going to clear the pink. Took a risk. Lifeline for Graeme.
50 behind with possible 67 on.
Didn't hit it badly.
That's a big let-off, but he's also freed the black as well. So I think everyone was expecting Robertson to knock that in and win the frame, but look at that, he frees the black. That can only help Dott.
One.
Well, it would be a real early blow to land if he could win this frame now, because Robertson's had a couple of chances already. The in-off cost him the first one, then missing that red to the middle has also cost him.
Four.
Tough shot, especially as if he takes it on, he's going to have to put some sort of work into the cue ball, and this cloth is now on day 3, so the pockets are a wee bit tighter than they perhaps were on Friday. Don't blame him for playing the cutback. It looks suspiciously like an in-off in the right middle, the cutback, so he may have to work the cue ball. That might work for him round the back of the green. Blue waiting. Might get a bonus here.
Graeme Dott, 4.
He might get a bonus. He's got it.
So, a third chance for Robertson coming up. This is why. And this time he's not got away with it. Robertson 46 in front.
1.
So the pink and Dott needs a snooker. It's been quite a cagey start, but Robertson did get in and make that good 55 to take the lead before the in-off.
Seven. 8.
Robertson's 15th match in 19 days. Just in playing mode, and the thing is, he's playing well. We know that because it's his third final in 3 weekends.
Thank you. 15.
Well, that's okay, because the frame is well and truly won. So an interesting start. We had the re-rack, we had a bit of a standoff. Robertson made 55, needed a couple more chances, but he made the most of that one, and he's off and running. First to 10 to become champion. He leads Graeme Dott 1-0.
That's tightened things up at the back. Trusted Trader, sponsoring Daytime on ITV4.
TrustedTrader.com.
Your devices keep tons of data about you. Where you live and what you like. What your loved ones like and the surprise you've been planning. How you look and who your friends are. When online, your devices share this data with each other. Are you sharing it with a random stranger on public Wi-Fi as well? You never know. Connect to NordVPN. Help keep your online data secure and private. Download now.
I gotta be free. I just gotta be free. Daring to try to do it or die. I gotta be me.
Tackle irritation with Nivea Men's best-selling sensitive post-shave balm. Instant relief from the UK's #1.
Dad promised. But now they have to move again. All because of his job. But maybe Dad will get to keep his promise after all. Anna? Upload your CV on Indeed.
You're going down. Trusted Trader, sponsoring Daytime on ITV4.
TrustedTrader.com.
This is the Coral Series, the first event, the World Grand Prix, followed by the Players' Championship and the Tour Championship. It gets more elite as we go on. Of course, we had 32 here, 16 in the Players, just 8 in the Tour Championship.
Thank you. The second frame. Graeme Dott to break.
Graeme Dott wasn't even in the World Grand Prix last year, didn't earn enough points on the one-year list, but here he is in the final in 2020. But it's Neil Robertson who's won the first frame. Just a reminder, 8 frames in this session, first to 10 this evening.
Good early signs, this, isn't it? Robertson fans, long red, nice way to sweeten the pot. That yellow as well.
4.
Get a sense that when you win the first frame of these big finals, it just frees up your mind. He looks pretty relaxed now.
Yeah, one of the things he's good at, I think, is actually switching off when he's not playing. He wasn't up all night
12.
thinking, oh, I'm in a big final, I can't get to sleep because of it. He just manages to turn off. He actually said last night, you know, I'll have a good night's sleep, I'll be refreshed for tomorrow. I'm sure that's the case. Of course, there have been times when being so relaxed have actually cost
90.
him, not turning up or turning up to the wrong venues, but his timing in recent weeks has been impeccable.
As has his cue ball timing. Look at that, what a shot. And you know, the black previous to it was almost a better shot than that, because he deliberately left it low to bring the reds into play. And boy, did he.
Yeah, this looks like help yourself time now. Magnificent player. Learnt the game because his father in Australia owned a snooker club, so he'd go in there as a boy and worked his way up the junior ranks in Australia. First term pro at 16, was probably too young. He won one of the playoff events and came over, chanced his arm, got relegated. He actually said that he thought his career was over. He thought he wasn't good enough. He went to the job centre, stood in the queue, and because it was a long queue, he had time to think about things, and he thought, no, actually, you know what? I'm going to give it another go. And since getting back on, he's become quite simply one of the best there is.
35. $36. $40. $41.
Just in this picture here with him playing the yellow, watch his cue. Watch how his cue never goes up or down any part of it. See, just look at the cue. It's almost like it's on a conveyor belt.
43. $44.
You get a better look at it here on this picture. See the whole of his cue. Just have a look at it. Some players go up and down with the butt end, which obviously brings the tip up and down, obviously. Not Neil. Wherever he aims, he hits it there. See that? Technically, well, I would say you're identical snooker player.
51.
Tall, rangy, slim, powerful. Got it all.
52.
Might just demonstrate that power here. Round the houses. Just beat the blue spot with a cue ball. That's what he's looking for. See that? Just beat the blue spot. There you go.
57.
Couple more reds needed to not only win the second frame, but to win it handsomely. Got in with a long red. And when he got the reds open, it just looked like his frame.
58.
These long matches include matches within matches, sessions and mini sessions, and I guess the aim is to win each one. So Robertson, obviously 4-0 is what he wants, but 3-1, he's in early control, then try and take a big lead into this evening. now. He still needs one more red. Just checking that.
It's a perfect example there of why players play for, when they can, play for 2 or 3 different reds. He could only play on one there. Not a sitter, but David said, frame ball. Nope.
No, wasn't on it as he would have liked, but it's a good lead. Nonetheless, Dott can still win this frame. 63 behind, 67 on, as Robertson missed frame ball.
Cross double then. There's a chance he could pot this red. Got it thin enough. Be happy with that. Oh, there's a bonus. Yes, Neil can play side cushion and drop on the one on the cushion. At least I think he can. I don't think the middle pocket's in his line.
Sort of situation though, were he to miss this, the 4 points would be useful for Graeme Dott with such a tight frame. Not got much latitude in terms of colours.
Two cushion glance then.
Foul, I miss. Graeme Dott 4.
That would suggest that the middle pocket's in his line for dropping on the tight red.
Yeah, thanks.
Might look a poor shot that by Neil, but I thought it was tactically quite a good shot. At the very least, he always knew the red and the black cushion was something Graham's going to have to deal with.
Robertson 4.
Robertson's got the 4 points back. Yeah, he was hampered queuing. That didn't help. I mean, it wasn't straightforward to start with, but he was mindful of that red under his waistcoat.
Sorry, Neil.
Knocking the brown is just unlucky.
Yeah, just checking for a free ball.
They're all having a look, but it's the referee's decision.
That one, isn't it?
Yeah, just to make Leo making sure it takes the right red away.
Should have used a different colour.
No free ball called.
Graeme having a little smile. The chances he's getting so far are tricky ones. He's not really had his hand on the table as yet. Now then. Made a worldly clearance against O'Sullivan in the quarter-finals this week. This is a key shot. He needs to get his hand on the table. One good positional shot. And he'll fancy this.
Nine.
Looks to be the optimum angle.
16.
Leaving a low black. Access to the two reds. The big shot then.
$17.
Not easy to tell whether the green will pass the pink there. I think it does. Graeme will know that already. He'll have sussed that situation out.
$24. $25.
Yeah, he's just checking. So pot the black, you're 31 behind. So brown's good. Brown or above. Off the last red.
$32. $33.
Just shy of pace. And the pink being there makes this target a bit smaller. In between brown and pink twice. Oh, what a shot. If he lands straight, it's no good.
38.
In terms of position, it's no good. Squeeze an angle out of this yellow. Back across for green.
40. Yeah.
Well, he potted a very good red to get in the first place, but now needs to pot a good green to continue. Remember, Neil Robertson had a chance at frame ball, didn't get ideal on it when he was in on that 63 break. But this is a big shot for Graeme Dott.
Graeme Dott, 40.
Robertson had a good look from the pocket. He's now having a good look from behind the cue ball. Whether he can get through to this. Now we're back to the pocket side. Remember, he just needs the green. Well, consolation obviously is that he hasn't left it.
One of the few players in the game that plays that shot deliberate. Not miscue, but something he practices actually. Probably not now he's got it. He's got it locked in, that shot. One of the few that play it Yeah, this situation Graeme will be quite happy with. See, Neil doesn't like playing that shot. I don't blame him. Last shot Graeme played, almost saying to Neil, I'm not going anywhere here, pal. I'm waiting on you make the first move. Thing is, though, there's nothing really on, is there?
I think at some point we're going to have to move this one, but I know. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, the referee's saying, this can't go on all day. Graeme Dott, as Alan said, there's no reason why he should, and the player behind should want to change the scenario. If the referee wants to, he can say, right, you've got 2 shots, 3 shots each. That is an option for him.
Yeah, that's something that Neil has to bear in mind, isn't it? I mean, he can go cushion first, the left cushion, the knuckle, and try and get the green a wee bit further to the right. That might solve the situation. It's certainly in Neil's favour, obviously, with the scoreboard, to try and resolve this. Is Graeme now thinking about playing away? No, sticking to his guns again. Yeah, so the green's just gradually moving to the right a wee bit. He can do it again here if he wishes. More way to resolving it. Only thing is, though, if he leaves any distance between green and cue ball, then Graeme's got the upper hand in the safety battle.
So the immediate impasse is broken. 23 in the frame, 25 on. Dott's just knocked the blue a little safer, which is not in his favour at the moment. And neither's this. Snookered on the green. That is though. It's fluked it out the snooker. Funny old game, isn't it?
One bad turn deserves another.
Graeme Dott, 3.
Already feels like sort of frame 17, 18 of the final, not frame 2, but you know what battlers these two are.
Not so sure about that. I think I might have potted the brown, killed the cue ball. It wasn't that difficult a safety shot with the blue. This should be cushioned first, I would imagine. Just depends. No, going direct. But the only thing with that, there's a chance of Graeme perhaps promoting the blue. Although having got the brown close to the cush, it ain't going to be easy. Good shot, that. Just looking, I wonder if Neil will be interested. Yeah, I don't think the cross double's on. Brown just ran on an extra couple of inches to probably prevent that.
Seems a long time since Robertson was on that break of 63, just didn't come ideally on the next red, which he missed. And that precipitated all of this. And there you see, nearly 20 minutes since he's potted one. Yeah, got the double kiss. Brown was heading close to the middle pocket, but it's okay for Graeme Dott. He just acknowledged that. "29 minutes now, this frame.
Quite a nice shot that Graeme has. Chance of a snooker behind the black-blue waiting if you were to flick it to left middle. Not that far away.
Ticking towards the half-hour mark for the frame. Not one of Robertson's best then. Now, of course, it was Dott who inadvertently nudged that blue into that position earlier. He needs the 4 colours to steal this frame.
Nine.
So tenacious, Graeme Dott. This would be a great frame to win. Robertson had not only the red, he had a chance at the green later on.
15.
But Graeme Dott needs the black to level up. Big frame to win this. It's been 31 minutes of battle. Well, Robertson played a poor safety, and Graeme Dott made a steely little clearance to get himself on that scoreboard. It looked for all the world early on in that frame like it was going to be 2-0 to the Australian, but Graeme Dott levels up at 1 each.
Who done it? They did. Trusted Trader, sponsoring Daytime on ITV4.
Yeah, when they see me rolling, they roll out. I'm rolling round, I'm on a roll now. We're rolling up and then we roll down.
Hit the refresh with 20% off the new Homebase paint range. Homebase feels good to be home.
Goths. Ooh. Goths from the Midlands. From the Midlands who no longer live at home and pay their credit card every month in full and has an Experian credit score of 874. Called Joy.
I thought you said your name was Raven.
No, it's always been Joy. Other companies offer similar people similar stuff. At Experian, we use your credit history to help find deals that are right for you and only you.
At Heycar, every used car comes with a warranty, so finding the perfect one is easy. Parking it may be a little trickier. To find yours, search Heycar.
At Dreams, we've introduced Sleep Match. Our latest innovation maps your body to find you the perfect mattress, no matter your size or shape, helping to give you a good night's sleep for years to come. Try it in store today. Sleep Match by Dreams, the science behind good sleep.
It's slotting into place. Trusted Trader, sponsoring Daytime on ITV4.
Welcome back to Cheltenham. It's the Coral World Grand Prix final. Neil Robertson won, Graeme Dott won. We saw at the end of frame 2 there Graeme Dott's determination coming to the fore. It's a terrific brown, good blue as well. Take a nice little cut along the top cushion and then pink and black to steal a frame that Neil Robertson looked at one stage a certainty to win. He was in on 63, just came not ideal on the next red. And eventually, after a long duel, it was Dott that took it. So 31.5-minute battle that went to the Scotsman. One each, just waiting for Dott to return for the third of a possible 19 frames, but very exciting frame, that one. And importantly for Dott, just gets him involved in this match. Good to see so many people have made it. The weather's terrible, actually, but it hasn't deterred this audience from taking their seats for what is already an absorbing battle.
Okay, Neil. Thank you. The third frame. Neil Robertson to break.
First real long ball is missed in the match. Super pot just couldn't stay on the black. It was obviously a blow to Robertson losing that second frame, but I think his attitude is so good he'll just get on with this one.
Blue ball. Neil Robertson won.
It's been part of the story. 2 frames in, a lot of colours going off spots and tied up. Neil there tying up the blue. He didn't mean to. Makes things awkward.
Touching ball.
Taking this red on. Anything but thin. Thin's no good. Oh, good pot.
Green ball.
Trying to cover the
Green
left
ball,
half of the table, and he's did that. Good shot. He escaped down the left half, that was. Twice across then. It's never a comfortable shot, this, for a player. Hard enough shot on your own table at home. Far less a table you're not made all that much on. He's erred on the low side.
Foul and a miss. Graeme Dott 4.
This red straight enough, which it's not. You've taken it on. But as I say, don't play this shot all that often. Not easy to judge.
Continue. Graeme.
Every chance, actually, of leaving the red to right middle. Which I think he has.
One.
Well, there's the safety stats. They're massively favouring Dott. And here again, he's earned a way in. I'm sure Dott will feel, though, he has to score as well today. It can't all be black ball steals. He's made 1 century in the week, in which he's really impressed, actually. It was a very good semi-final against Tom Ford. Of course, beat O'Sullivan in the quarters.
7.
Yellow then, 2 cushions. Try and get some reds moving. Oh, that'll do. That'll do nicely, thank you very much.
9.
Funny, when you're playing well, little things like that happen. See me just parting the reds there. Black still tied up, but that'll keep.
10. $15. $16.
Can't quite tell, but it looks like the pink spot's covered. Graeme will want it to be.
19.
Heavy contact. You see it looks like it's not covered, so that would be why Graeme played for blue. Saying earlier about the range, the height of Neil. Graeme was a good bit shorter, but I'm going to stretch this one.
Big in heart though, isn't he, Graeme Dott? We saw that in frame 2, the way he dished up there with those last 4 colours. Not straightforward at all.
26.
Yeah, he's just looking there to see if the pink will go to left corner. I think it will. About to find out. It goes on its own spot. Just coming round to have a check at that.
32.
Yeah, clearly goes.
$33.
Graham's wife Elaine is here, their children Lewis and Lucy as well. I'm sure they've
39.
seen the tapes of Graeme winning at the Crucible in 2006, but it would be wonderful for the family to experience a victory for him in the flesh.
$40.
Having to work for these though. I don't think you like the contact there either.
Yeah, the drag back for the red with the rest will be the shot here because he's guaranteed position. Well, not good position, but he's guaranteed a shot at it. Is he playing the deep screw? No. Yeah, that's a sensible shot. So, looking for another good potting position because one more red after
45.
this one. It looks like he'll be in front. Oh, crisp. That was super.
46.
Nice sound of the strike and the... You hit leather, it almost confirms to you. Yeah, that was a good shot. I cued that one nicely. Just ran a hair too far. Yeah, but the fact that he only needs another red in addition may dictate that he plays blue. No heroics with possession, just on and off the black cushion, he'll leave the cut back. Yeah, good thinking. See, it's good percentage snooker, that's what that is. 55 in 51. Front then.
Yes, the red means Robertson needs 2 snookers. A real good battling break, this.
52.
He's had to really work that cue ball. Taking the extra 4 points, which means that Robertson now needs 3 snookers.
56. Graeme Dott, 56.
So, good 56 from Graeme Dott to take full control of this third frame.
How quick is that bed? Tables this time of year generally, always doing the ITV events, the tables play beautifully.
Yeah, I think Dott fully expected to have a chance to pop that red down the left-hand side, but the white just kept running in behind the yellow.
Yeah, a little snooker here. Should be easy to hit a red. Oh, that's not good. Graeme, one of those players that won't sense danger here, but he'll sense that it's important not to give Neil a sniff of getting a couple of reds. You see, there's nothing lax, nothing lacklustre about the way he plays a shot or his selection. It's keep your foot to the floor, even though Neil effectively needs 3-4 point snookers as we stand. Again here, he'll be mindful of getting a good cue ball when he plays a shot to nothing. Good thinking again. Put the cue ball in behind the black.
So that kills off the frame once and for all. Graeme Dott with a bit between his teeth here this afternoon, as he has had all week. Could easily have gone 2-0 down, but in fact he's going to be 2-1 up.
Eight. Nine.
Tense last couple of frames. Nice to just relax for the next couple of minutes and polish off these last 3 reds.
16.
And the first of the, probably what you would call the big frames coming up, isn't it? The one before the
21.
The intermission.
Yeah, because at 1-0 and 63-0 up in the next frame, Robertson, we had dreams of 4-0.
23.
In fact, he could be 3-1 down going to that intermission.
26.
When he pots a ball, Graeme, he pots them, doesn't he? He dismisses the ball into the pocket. As we heard from Chris Henry earlier, his coach, he's confident
35.
now in his technique, confident in his game. Playing some of his best snooker since he won that China Open 13 years ago. That was his last success in a ranking event. And he's on top today. Made a very good 56 break. Played a very good frame overall, the Scotsman. And he leads Neil Robertson 2-1 with one more frame to come before the first interval.
And this is the final frame. Trusted Trader, sponsoring daytime on ITV4.
TrustedTrader.com.
Yeah, holiday! It's time to travel Republic. ATOL protected.
I gotta be free. I just gotta be free. Daring to try to do it all day. I gotta be me.
There's only 3 days left to save up to a massive 60% on a range of mattresses and beds in the Dreams price drop. Our Anison double mattress is just $279. That's 60% off. And save £100 on our Lucia double bed frame. Now $349. Hurry! Price drop ends Tuesday at Dreams.
Be honest. There are times when you don't feel normal. But what is normal? Is it feeling anxious regularly? Missing celebrations purposefully? Or your mum, endlessly? In truth, there are over 7 billion versions of normal on this planet. Whatever's on your mind, it's normal to us. Bupa, for living.
And he puts on the yellow jersey. Trusted Trader, sponsoring daytime on ITV4.
TrustedTrader.com.
Graeme Dott leads Neil Robertson 2-1 in the World Grand Prix final here in Cheltenham. This is the last frame before the first interval.
Thank you. Frame 4. Graeme Dott to break.
Disappointment in Graham's face there, going back to his chair. He knows you can't leave too many of these. That's why. In the course of a long final like this, best of 19 frames, see the long red again. There's every likelihood that a player with a long game prowess of Neil Robertson can win 3, maybe even 4 frames just from his opponent's break off.
Three. Four.
Well, hopefully that young man is enjoying the snooker. Maybe he's a player himself.
Eleven. Twelve.
Such an important shot, this. This is the shot that will set the break up. Could not have.
'24.
Quite a nice shape, these. The red nearest the black might spit towards the right corner with the deep screw. See that? What a shot.
'31. '32.
This is his 15th match in 19 days. In that period, he's made 17 centuries. So it really has been a golden spell for Neil Robertson.
Good pot on the blue, but needs another good one on the red. Close to the side
Played
cushion.
really well in the
These are never
final last week.
straightforward.
Judd Trump's tactical.
38.
His victory at the European Masters a couple of weeks ago maintained Robertson's proud record of having won at least one ranking title per season for the last 15 years. And of course tomorrow he'll be off to Cardiff to defend his Welsh Open title. The final leg of the Home Nations gets underway here on Eurosport tomorrow morning. Graeme Dott wondering if he'll get another chance in this fourth frame, but I think he'll be pretty happy with the way it's gone so far, because he looked a certainty to fall 2-0 behind. So a share of the spoils at the interval would be a satisfactory start for Dott. But this could be the pivotal shot of this frame. If this split goes well for Robertson, it should be 2 each. And he couldn't have played it much better than that. Just a controlled cannon.
50.
No great pace. And they've split beautifully. He's going to need the extended rest, though, to pop this red in. And he will be mindful of what happened in the first and the second frames when he wasn't able to quite kill things off in one visit. That proved costly in frame 2. Possible 133 on the table, so Robertson can't better his own tournament high break 59. Of 140. But the most important thing for him, of course, is to clinch the frame and share the spoils at the interval. All of this the result of Graeme Dott's break-off, and it wasn't a bad one. He had the cue ball pretty close to the ball cushion, but Robertson, with one of his trademark long-range reds.
67.
And that was frame ball. So Robertson putting the disappointment of the previous 2 frames out of his mind. And we'll start again after the interval.
72.
It's now a best of 15 frame match for the title.
$79. 80.
Robertson closing in on his 5th century of the week. He made 3 in his victory over Mark Williams. It would be his 53rd of the season already. Still some way off the 103 he made in a single season back in 2013-14, a remarkable achievement that no one has got close to emulating so far. Judd Trump made over 80 last season. But Robertson
94.
Absolutely loves making the big breaks. And he's certainly come alive in this frame, putting the disappointments of the previous 2 firmly behind him here.
102.
Slightly overscrewed for the green.
Thank you. 105. 109. 114. 120.
Clinical stuff here from Robertson. Knocked in a brilliant long red and cleared the table with 127. And he heads to his dressing room at the mid-session interval with a spring in his step. Graeme Dott, I think, will be pretty happy as well to have shared that session after losing the first frame and very nearly losing the second. But at the break, it's 2 frames all in Cheltenham.
Ride to the 7 Emirates, 7 hearts, one great passion, one great soul. The one and only World Tour race in the Middle East.
Welcome back to the World Grand Prix snooker final here live from the Cheltenham racecourse, where the first 4 frames have been shared between Neil Robertson and Graeme Dott. Robertson stroking in a 1-2-7 clearance in the 4th to share the spoils after Dott had pinched the 2nd frame and won the 3rd. So honours even at the first mid-session interval. Of course, the target is 10 frames for the title. So while the players head off for their little break, we can remind you of what happened in last year's World Grand Prix final between Judd Trump and Ali Carter. And Trump, of course, was in the middle of what proved to be his best ever season. He'd already won the Masters, demolishing Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final, having beaten O'Sullivan in the Northern Ireland Open as well. Looking to add this title to his CV. He would go on, of course, to claim his first world title at the Crucible with that devastating display in the final against John Higgins. Standing in his way, Ali Carter, who, of course, this season was runner-up in the Masters, having only been there because the aforementioned O'Sullivan opted not to compete. That allowed Carter in because he was the next cab on the rank, the 17th ranked player. The Masters, of course, reserved for the top 16 in the world ordinarily. But Trump, you felt, always had a little bit in reserve in this final. 3 up with 4 to play and at the table looking to close it out here. Trump has put a lot of his success down to his decision to bring his brother Jack on board to travel with him around the circuit. Jack Trump was a very talented snooker junior who knows the game, who I think has added greater discipline to Trump's practice sessions. And of course can also act as a friend and confident when Trump is feeling a bit low about things or needs a bit of help. And it certainly worked exceptionally well. Trump has been at times unplayable in the last 12 months. Undoubtedly deserves to be world champion and runaway world #1 as he is right now.
36.
And he'll already, no doubt, be turning his attentions to the defence of his Crucible title in a couple of months' time, when he'll look to break that infamous so-called Crucible curse. No first-time winner having successfully defended. Our own Joe Johnson got closest in
37.
1987 when he pushed Steve Davis to 18-14 in their second consecutive final. But that's all in the future. Trump, of course, knocked out at the World Grand Prix this week by Kyren Wilson, having claimed the German Masters title for the first time last week, beating Neil Robertson in the final. And that takes a bit of doing right now, as we've seen, with Robertson playing the snooker of his life, for my money. But so is this guy. He really has been outstanding over the last 18 months. And this was just another example of it. And there's an example of how Trump is perhaps the best in the world at manoeuvring that cue ball up and down the table. He's used yellow, green, blue, pink and black in this break of 40 already. So good at retrieving situations in breaks when things have become a little bit awkward positionally. And surely the world's best potter, when he's in full flow, there is no ball on the table that appears safe.
.42.
Historically, first-time world champions have tended to struggle in their follow-up season. But Trump has done the opposite. He has absolutely flourished. He's already won 4 ranking titles in this campaign. He was also final runner-up, of course, to Neil Robertson in the Champion of Champions. So he's just been on such a roll. It's been extraordinary. Edging his way towards the winning line with only 59 on the table. Just the black and one more red would clinch it for Trump. Eyeing up a possible plant.
.53.
To put the match safe. Never in doubt. At this stage it was just the one snooker for Ali Carter.
Bramble. Thank you. So Trump, 54.
So that break of 54 putting Trump on the cusp of the title. Carter coming back to the table needing one snooker. And of course he didn't want that in because he needs a high value colour with it. Couldn't have landed more awkwardly with that in mind.
Blue ball.
And there was the handshake with the blue not going in. Judd Trump claiming yet another ranking title in this most stellar of seasons for him. Celebrating a 10 frames to 6 victory over Ali Carter to claim the 2019 World Grand Prix title. And a cheque for £100,000 to go with it. And of course he would go on to lift his first World Championship title at the expense of John Higgins at the end of the 2018-19 season, and he's continued that form this season with 4 more ranking titles. So that was 12 months ago. Of course, Judd Trump unable to successfully defend this year in Cheltenham, beaten by Kyren Wilson, who in turn was beaten last night in the semi-finals by Neil Robertson, and he's level with Graeme Dott right now at 2 frames all in the final. We'll be back with the second half in a minute. Very shortly, the players will be reintroduced. Neil Robertson 2, Graeme Dott 2 in the final of the World Grand Prix Snooker. Very shortly, we'll be leaving the live snooker here on Eurosport 2. But fear not, because we'll be back very shortly to pick up the second half of this first session on Eurosport 1 momentarily. And tonight, of course, we'll be back for the final session at 8 o'clock. That's the trophy they're playing for. The first to 10 to be crowned champion and pick up a cheque for £100,000, £40,000 going to the runner-up. And if you want to continue following the World Grand Prix final, just switch over to Eurosport 1 right now.
New Robertson to break.
And we welcome our Eurosport 1 viewers to the World Grand Prix snooker final. Neil Robertson taking on Graeme Dott, former world champions both. Of course, they contested the world final in 2010 when Robertson beat Dott 18-13, Dott having been crowned champion in 2006 when he beat Peter Ebdon in an equally epic encounter. And the story of this final so far, Robertson took the first frame, helped by a break of 55, should really have taken the second as well. Made a break of 63 in that one, but just couldn't quite put away frame ball, and in the end Dott stole it on the black. He then won the third with a break of 56, before Robertson responded brilliantly off the Graeme Dott break-off with a clearance of 127 to share the spoils at the mid-session interval. Early jousting in this frame, and up until now the safety's been played at the top end of the table, but Neil Robertson just trying to drop in a red, very awkward one at a tight angle into the left centre pocket. It stayed out, and now the cue ball is back where it would normally be, close to the baulk cushion. 4 more frames in this first session. 10 is the target for the title. Robertson's chasing his 18th ranking title today, which will put him out on his own in 6th place in the all-time list, ahead of Mark Selby. And for Graeme Dott, it would be just his 3rd ever ranking title success, a full 13 years after his 2nd at the China Open in 2007. And that would be a brand new record for gaps between ranking titles, currently held by the whirlwind Jimmy White, who won the UK Championship in 1992, his 9th ranking title, and won his 10th and most recent one at the Players' Championship in 2004. Dott was a long way off that one, and that could be expensive. The reds pretty nicely spread. It's their 17th meeting. Robertson's won 10 of the previous 16. Most recently at the European Masters a couple of weeks ago, which of course Robertson went on to win.
One.
Over the course of the last 3 weeks, Robertson has already netted a guaranteed £160,000 with his triumph in Austria at the European Masters, runner-up spot in Berlin at the German Masters, and of course if he wins today, it'll be £220,000 banked in 3 weeks. There's certainly been no flies on Robertson in recent times, and that's without the very likely £150,000 Bet Victor bonus for the European Series. Robertson is in the box seat for that as well, so he's been piling up the pounds and the ranking points.
Seven. Eight.
The 1-2-7 clearance Robertson made just before the mid-session interval was his 5th century of the week. His 53rd of the season.
$13. 14. $20. $21.
The snooker bandwagon doesn't stop here, of course. Tomorrow Neil Robertson will be Cardiff bound to defend his Welsh Open title, having beaten Stuart Bingham in the final 12 months ago. The final leg of the 4 Series Home Nations here on Eurosport. Judd Trump, Ronnie O'Sullivan et al. Will be there. And of course, in the case of O'Sullivan, he needs a deep run to get himself in contention for the upcoming Players' Championship and the Tour Championship for the top 16 and top 8 players on the one-year ranking list respectively, both of which of course he won last season at the expense of this man at the table. Graeme Dott accounted for O'Sullivan in the quarterfinals and played exceptionally well to do so. By O'Sullivan's admission, he was outplayed. Leo Scullion taking charge of this final, having of course officiated his first ever World Championship final last spring. Proud moment for him.
$33. 34. $40. 41. 46. 47. 47.
Well, a couple of times today Robertson has been in a position to clinch the frame and not quite been able to do so, and that's not the first time he's missed the pink either. Robertson actually caught the red in trying to pop the pink there, which is why it stayed out. So chance for a counter attack for Graeme Dott, who managed to pinch the second frame when Robertson was on the cusp of going 2-0 up.
Six.
Again, the fly's life ended in brutally efficient fashion.
Seven. Fourteen. 15. $22.
Shake of the head from Dott. His next red, not straightforward by any means. And were he to miss here, surely it would be Robertson's frame if he does go for one. So this is a big shot. No. Too high.
Graeme Dott, 22.
.25 Robertson's lead, so he still needs a bit of work to clinch the frame. Can he cut the red in? It's pretty thin, but I think he can.
One.
No man's land. Just doing the maths, with a thin cut like that, you can only concentrate on the pot, trusting to luck positionally, and it could have landed nicer for Robertson. But he still has the blue here. If this goes in, firm favourite to take the frame. Beautifully struck. It really was. In fact, he struck it too well.
6.
The red's a little more awkward than he would have liked. He's going to need one more red after this one.
7.
Well, I think we know what's coming here. Lead goes to 32 with 43 left.
Neil Robertson, 7. Well, you miss. Neil Robertson, 4.
That'll be going back. So the difference now 36. So you can afford to miss it one more time.
Yeah, you. Well, you miss. Neil Robertson, 4.
Well, miscalled. Robertson could elect to try and pot the red, but were Dott to miss the snooker one more time, of course, he would need a snooker.
Yeah.
So Graeme Dott really has to hit the red this time. Which he's done, but he's left a gimme for Robertson. So in the end, the miss pink from Robertson has proved not to be expensive. He's won back-to-back frames and retakes the lead.
Six. Here, Robertson, 6.
3 snookers required. Graeme Dott is snookered by the looks of things. Well, there was a gap there. And that was actually an opportunity to lay a really tight snooker. It is a snooker, I think, just about, but not as good as it might have been for Graeme Dott. 46 the difference, 35 on.
Frame conceded, frame.
And Graeme Dott's decided he will concede. So Neil Robertson did enough in that frame, despite missing, for him, a relatively straightforward pink, to retake the lead here at the World Grand Prix final in Cheltenham by 3 frames to 2.
Can you keep a secret? In life, happiness comes with sharing. We can look at this immersed nature and truly understand beauty together. Here we can dream about tomorrow. I can see your smile, and your joy amuses me. I see you here with me, and here I await you. Algarve, share the secret.
Saturday, Glover is in the picture. Bassino is on the podium, but Brignone is the one to catch. Giant slalom from Maribor, live on Eurosport and Eurosport Player.
So never more than a frame between them in this very competitive opening session of the World Grand Prix final. Graeme Dott looking to win his 3rd ranking title 13 years after his 2nd. For Neil Robertson, it would be a 2nd in the space of a fortnight after his European Masters triumph. He's just edged back in front. The 40-plus break doing most of the damage. So 3-2 to Robertson. 3 more frames to come in this first session. A possible 11 this evening, with 10 the magic number for the title. Made a century clearance in the 4th frame, Robertson, off Graeme Dott's break. This time the long red stays out to Dott's relief. Bears repeating that if Dott were to win today, he'd be back in the world's top 16. It will push him up to 15th spot. Provisionally coming into this final, he's in 19th. Neil Robertson, of course, the world number 2 behind Trump. Much thicker on the red than he intended. That's why Dott was very quickly up off his shot there. Well, I think the red does pop, that it's very difficult. And there's the issue of getting on a colour as well. This has got to be deadly accurate. Well, how well has he played that? Brilliant shot from Neil Robertson. Perfect on the black. He made the pot look easy, but if you're not 100% spot on with those, they stay up. Just stroked it in.
8. Nine. $60.
Robertson has been a deadly front runner in the last couple of weeks. Of course, he whitewashed Zhou Yulong in the final of the European Masters. Only the second time that's been done in a 2-session ranking final. Steve Davis being the other player to inflict that pain on Dean Reynolds back in 1989 at the Grand Prix. But on his run to the final in Berlin, Robertson barely lost a frame. Got in front early and dominated. And he'd love to open a 2-frame cushion for the first time here. That would guarantee him no worse than being level at the end of the first session of the final. Eyeing up a plant here. Yeah, good shot, because there was a bit of distance between the reds and it needed making.
$32. $33. $38. Okay, here you go. 39.
Just signs here that Robertson is beginning to get a grip on this final. He would have been frustrated not to be 2-0 up. Found himself 2-1 behind, but responded in champion fashion with a century clearance to level at the interval.
46.
But now he's beginning to flow and threatening to open up that 2-frame gap. And then the pressure's on Dott in the last couple of frames of this first session.
.47. .54. .55. Yeah.
So once again, Robertson on the cusp of clinching this frame, and that looks like a plant.
61.
Currently enough points there, of course, for Dott to steal if he did get a chance, but Robertson a couple of frames away from making sure of a 4-2 advantage. And he could actually pot the red in the middle of that bunch. So 75 left. One more red. Should clinch it with the colour.
.67. .68.
There's no doubt that Robertson has found a couple of extra gears since he fell 2-1 behind. Century before the interval. And now this break, having won the previous
75.
one with a 40+ contribution to win his third
76.
consecutive frame, and Graeme Dott needs a response.
.83.
Every chance now of a second century of the final.
.84.
Possible 1-4-1 there if he was
90.
to take blacks. He could better his own high break by 1 point. But that's no longer relevant in taking the blue. Well, this is the form
96.
that we've become very used to seeing from Robertson in the last few weeks. Very heavy scoring.
97.
Clinical cue ball control. A surgeon's precision. And a second century at the final. His 6th of the tournament. More than anyone else. And this is how he got in, just stroked in the red. He made it look easy, but we've seen those rattle in the jaws many times. And look at the position he got to go with it on the black, and he's never looked back. And look at that for a bit of cueing as well. Superb with the rest. Crowd are enjoying it. Graeme Dott will not be. And Dott will be thinking, well, I've got to win at least one of the remaining 2 frames, really,
108.
to give myself a chance this evening.
110. Neil Robertson,
No clearance this time, but another century from Neil Robertson, his 6th of the tournament, and for the first time a 2-frame cushion for the reigning European Masters champion as he leads Graeme Dott by 4 frames to 2, with 2 more frames to come in this first session. 10 the target for victory.
It's this winter's major blockbuster, Antholz. With a star-studded cast.
It's a struggle in a sprint.
In line for unforgettable scenarios.
Have a look at this. Oh, that is fantastic.
The World Championships begin Thursday. Live on Eurosport and Eurosport Player. A new cross-country tour sets out on a Nordic trail for a ferocious race of rivals. Ski Tour 2020, Saturday, live on Eurosport and Eurosport Player.
Welcome back. Neil Robertson threatening to take a firm grip on this World Grand Prix final, leading as he is now against Graeme Dott by 4 frames to 2, with his 2nd century of the final, his 6th of the week here at the Cheltenham racecourse. And talking of the big breaks, well, there you see confirmation. Robertson has been more prolific in that department than anyone else. The only other player with 5 is Ronnie O'Sullivan, who of course bowed out in the quarterfinals to Graeme Dott. Judd Trump was able to make 3 before he lost to Kyren Wilson.
Frame 7.
We've had 30 in the tournament so far. Neil Robertson then breaking off in frame 7, and if he wins this one, he really will be in a very strong position for the evening session. Just a reminder, there's £10,000 as a bonus for the highest break. Robertson with that 140 sitting there at the moment. Graeme Dott has made just the 1 century this week, but he's made plenty of other sizable breaks to get him to the final. He could do with one here to stem the tide. Played a thick safety shot in the previous frame, leaving Robertson the long red. And that proved to be Dott's final contribution to frame 6. Excellent crowd in here in Cheltenham to enjoy the final. This is the 11th ranking event of the season. Only Mark Selby and Judd Trump have been multiple ranking event winners so far during this campaign. Robertson, of course, would join them if he wins today. Very close with that long red. But having missed it, he's given some sort of chance to Dott, although this is not a pleasant red to start with. It's a very thin cut, missable. Not the kind of shot you want when you've lost 3 frames on the bounce, 2 of them to centuries. Just the safety. Dott's solitary break of substance so far in frame 3, a run of 56, which helped put him 2-1 in front. And that was a significant result at the time because he was so close to falling 2-0 behind. But since then it's been all Robertson. And when you haven't had many shots in recent times, those pots are that bit more difficult. Another mistake from Dott. Cannoning into the blue to give Robertson half a chance. And that's all he needs at the moment. Good pot. He's not on the black, but will he be tempted by a bought colour here? He's on a roll. Doesn't look as though there's anything in the bunch of reds that goes, so it might just be a safety here. Went for the positive pot on the yellow.
New Robertson 1.
Once again, not really an ideal opener for Graeme Dott, having been frozen out in the last 3 frames, 2 of which he didn't score in. Just struggling at the moment. Just got to keep telling himself he's still well in contention in this final. If he can win one of the 2 remaining frames, 5-3 wouldn't be too bad a result. 6-2 you feel would be close to unassailable with the way Robertson's playing at the moment. Again, not good enough really. Needed that cue ball close to the baulk cushion. And a chance again with this mid to long range pot for Robertson to get back in. Well, he opted for the thin snick on the red, assuming he'd be going back to baulk. Played as a shot to nothing, but caught it wrong. Could have left something easier. Well, that's unfortunate when things are beginning to go against you. You get those rather unfortunate cannons. On another day, he'd have slipped past the red, been nicely on it. So it looks like the break ends there. It was a brave
Graeme
pot,
Dott,
but it
3.
was risky. And because he got as close as he did, at that pace, the red has stayed pretty close to the pocket. It's definitely potable for Robertson. Frustration.
One.
So Robertson back in again. Graeme Dott gambled there, and it didn't pay off. Robertson, as usual, very good from long range. 3 out of 4 is excellent. Didn't play that well though. Didn't get into the cue ball in the way he wanted to. He was well short on his intended red to the right centre.
Neil Robertson 4.
Well, it was a poor positional shot from green to red that cost Robertson there and has given Graeme Dott another chance.
One.
That was a terrific shot. Really positive from Dott. And he's been rewarded. He couldn't have hit this any better. Right into the heart of the bunch. He's opened them up nicely. That said, awkward queuing on this red.
Five.
Well, it looks as though he might be on the black, although he's shaking his head. I think he's maybe just about on it. Trace of side if necessary. From this angle, it looks as though it certainly goes. Well, it looked a certainty that he'd missed that. Caught a lot of the near jaw.
12.
But somehow it dropped. There were certainly bags of room for the black. Anyway,
13.
Dott breathes again, but the break continues to be a struggle. Again, he's going to need a very good pressure pot to keep things going here.
18.
It's not getting any easier. Big moment for Graeme Dott in this first session of the final. Yeah, he's not looking comfortable out there at the moment. He's not had a lot of table time. He was given the chance there by Robertson to get back in the frame, but didn't make nearly enough from it. So Graeme Dott misses an awkward red from long range, close to the side cushion, and in truth he didn't really look like he fancied it. And Neil Robertson bang in amongst the balls again.
7. 8. 15. 16.
'Well, if Neil Robertson can win this frame as he moves in front,
21.
he really will have a firm grip on this final. Guaranteed to be at least 2 frames clear at the end of the first session if he does clinch this one, with the possibility of a very commanding 4-frame gap, and within 4 of the title.
$22.
Well, not ideal. Massive difference between 4-3 and 5-2. Graeme Dott had the chance to get back in the frame, but never really had a tight rein on the cue ball. And he has been heavily outscored in this final so far. Robertson's made a couple of 50-plus breaks and a couple of centuries.
25.
Dott with just the 1 half century and winning the 3rd frame.
26. 33. 34. 41. 42.
'Black, red, black' would suffice.
$49.
Indeed, any colour of this red will be enough.
50.
So Graeme Dott missed the tricky long-range red from close to the side cushion. Neil Robertson looks set to punish with another frame-winning break. He only needs the black. Dott would need snookers. Two of them.
$57.
And that settles any doubt. It's going to be 4 straight frames for Neil Robertson, who's really beginning to take a very firm grip on this final.
Neil Robertson, 58.
Graeme Dott isn't scoring heavily enough when he's had his chances to apply the pressure to Robertson, who's now won 4 on the bounce and has a commanding 5 frames to 2 lead, with one more frame to come in this first session, a frame that Graeme Dott desperately needs. Robertson 5-2 up.
The Home Nation Series, with the Welsh Open starting tomorrow, live on Eurosport and Eurosport Player.
Welcome back to the Cheltenham racecourse, where we have one more frame in our first session of the World Grand Prix final. Neil Robertson chasing his second ranking title in 3 weeks. Graeme Dott hoping to land his third, a full 13 years after his second at the China Open. But at the moment, as you can see, Neil Robertson firmly in charge, heavily outscoring Dott. A couple of centuries from Robertson as well, and a 5-2 lead, which means the worst he can be is 2 frames clear going into this evening's concluding session. Our coverage gets underway at 8 o'clock tonight, so Graeme Dott will feel he's really got to win this frame. 4 behind against an informed Robertson would take an awful lot of retrieving. 5-3 wouldn't be too bad. It would give him a chance if he can make a fast start this evening. So this is all important. Sitting there psyching himself up for one big push at the end of this opening session, Robertson having left the arena. For Neil Robertson, appearing in his 29th ranking final, it would be an 18th ranking title. Of course, his second this season, coming hot off the heels of his triumph in Austria. And of course, last weekend's runners-up to Judd Trump at the German Masters.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The final frame of this session, Graeme Dott to break.
So Graeme Dott breaks off in frame 8, the final frame of session 1. A must-win frame. Robertson, on the other hand, looking for his 5th on the bounce. And he would have been frustrated to be 2-1 behind, because he should have been 2-0 up. But how he responded to that disappointment. Century clearance in the 4th, raking in a long red after a pretty respectable break-off from Dott, and he's not looked back since. Dott has had a couple of chances since then, but hasn't been able to get a real grip on the cue ball. Positionally, he's struggled, and eventually, when you keep trying to achieve those retrieving pots, you run out of puff. Well, that was a terrific red. He's lost the cue ball slightly. Black is potable, but it would certainly be risky. No way you can avoid careering into reds here if he does go for the pot. No, just undercut it. or overcut it, I should say, and that was a tough pot, and he knew it carried risk. Just caught the cushion on the way through, and they don't drop if that happens. A clean pot, but no position to go with it. But of course he has the black over the hole, so doesn't have to worry.
Eight.
Very nicely controlled. Those are a little bit easier when you're 5-2 up. But even so, an excellent pot from Robertson.
$16.
Robertson, as I mentioned, will be in Cardiff for the defence of his Welsh Open title, which starts tomorrow. He's up against Jamie Clark in the first round. Managed to win 3 ranking titles in a single season for the first time in 2018-19. The Riga Masters, Welsh Open and the China Open, which of course sadly won't be taking place as scheduled at the end of March, beginning of April, owing to the coronavirus. So the final cut-off tournament as things stand for the World Championship to determine the top 16, and those players who are going to have to play qualifying rounds will be the Gibraltar Open, the last of the European series, in the middle of next month. And Robertson might well be playing in that if there's still an opportunity for points required to clinch that Bet Victor bonus.
Thank you. 23.
No room for the pink on its spot, so it goes behind the cluster.
24.
Yes, I think it's a certainty that Robertson will be in Gibraltar along with Judd Trump, because they're the two players who can still clinch that £150,000 bonus, and neither of them have entered the shootout, which is the third leg of the 4-tournament European series. So Judd Trump would have to win in Gibraltar to deny Robertson. But there's no question that Robertson has monopolised the table since he fell 2-1 behind.
39.
That trademark heavy scoring of his has been the real difference.
Fourth.
55, 63, 127, 110 and 58 as against just 1 half century from Dott, 56 in the third. But a little bit of misfortune for Robertson, knocking in a red along with the blue.
Graeme Dott, 5.
So often we see that when a player's going into the bunch off the blue. Robertson must have thought that he played the blue that gently that there was no danger of the in-off, but these cloths are so fast. Even so, a 34-point lead as he looks to move 4 clear. Yeah, try as he might, Dott just can't get anything going at the moment. He's been living off scraps, really. And when he has been in the last 2 or 3 frames, he's struggled to keep a tight rein on the cue ball. Yeah, well played. Excellent pot. Once again, it had to go because if he'd rattled this, it would have stayed over the hole for Robertson. Dott said ahead of this final, give me 6 all and I'll fancy the job. Well, he's a long way off that kind of parity at the moment, but if he can win this frame, he's got some sort of chance this evening. When it was pointed out to him that were he to win today, it would be his first ranking title for 13 years, he said it doesn't feel as long as that. In fact, it feels longer. 2007 China Open. Of course, he made the German Masters final a couple of years back, but he was heavily beaten by Mark Williams, who was in irresistible form at the time. He also made the final of the shootout in 2018, which controversially in some quarters is also a ranking event, of course. But he's a tenacious character, as we know, Graeme Dott. So he'll certainly still believe he can turn this around. And if he can win this frame, At least he'll leave the arena feeling a lot more positive after losing 4 consecutive frames, but he's still got to win it. He's 22 behind. 59 left on the table.
Seventeen. 18. 21. 22.
He's played that nicely. Just run a little too far. Cue ball seemed to gather pace there off the cushion. Another rueful smile from Graeme. He looks as though he's enjoying himself anyway, which is half the battle out there, particularly when you're trailing. It's already been a great week for him to get to the final, £40,000. And the equivalent ranking points not to be sniffed at, provisionally up to 19th in the world with this run. He's gone for the cannon, he's got the cannon, brilliant shot. And it could have landed more kindly for him.
26.
He does have a shot on the red to the centre, but it's not straightforward by any means. Played a terrific shot there and deserved better. Just caught the near jaw, and that was enough to keep it out. But second prize looks like a snooker. Well, this has become a seismic frame in this final. The difference between 6-2 and 5-3 is huge. The final frame of the session. And still very much in the balance, just 8 points between them. Robertson snookered on the remaining 2 reds, 43 available. Yeah, he'll settle for that. Such a vital frame this. It could be the difference between a very comfortable victory for Robertson on the resumption this evening, or who knows, possibly still a nail biter if Dott can scramble his way to this frame and close to within 2. And after that blitz of scoring from Robertson, that wouldn't be a bad result. But it's Robertson who's back in with that excellent long red. And of course the primary goal was to get the cue ball back to safety.
Neil Robertson 1.
Just the 1 point, but control of the table for now at least. And nothing's safe. So this red is all important. Good hit. Don't think the red passes the pink. But a good safety from Robertson. And a good reply from Dott. Well, he has left the red. It's obviously not a straightforward shot, but Robertson's so good from long range. He'll probably fancy this one. And if he gets it, every chance of a 6-2 lead. So a big shot in this first session. And he's overcut it. Has he left it? He has. What a chance then for Graeme Dott to salvage the session. He's been largely outplayed. He's certainly been heavily outscored. But if he can win this frame, he's still in the final. He was very much trusting to luck there positionally, and he's had quite a bit of it. That's not a bad cannon at all. Remember, he knocked out Ronnie O'Sullivan deservedly. An excellent performance. O'Sullivan gave it everything in that match, but came up short, 5-3. Backed it up with a win in a high-quality match with Tom Ford, who's been playing some great stuff recently. Was clearly the underdog at the outset today. And the snooker we've seen so far would back that up. Robertson is the heaviest scorer. But Graeme Dott is a terrific fighter. And he's given himself a golden chance here to close to within 2 frames. He needs the green, the brown, the blue and the pink. He's really on the stretch here, even with the butt extension. But he's played it well. Good position on the brown. Well, there's plenty of pressure here, but this should be fairly straightforward. Just 3 more pots for 5-3.
15.
Doesn't want to run straight on the blue. So this pink to reduce the deficit to 2 going into this evening's final session. And he's got it. That is a big, big frame for Graeme Dott. Neil Robertson has been much the stronger of the two this afternoon and thoroughly deserves to be in front. But he might have been 6-2 in front, and that would have taken an awful lot of retrieving. As it is, Graeme Dott mops up the colours to the pink to keep his hopes alive at the World Grand Prix final. It's Neil Robertson who leads by 5 frames to 3. Well, what a big frame for Graeme Dott. Largely outplayed, but crucially clinching that 8th frame, which keeps him in touch. Neil Robertson clearly still the favourite, but only 2 frames in front, and that is certainly retrievable if Dott can make a good start to this evening's deciding session. This is the draw, of course. Dott having come through against Tom Ford in the previous round, Ronnie O'Sullivan in the quarters, Neil Robertson seeing off Joe Perry, and then Kyren Wilson, and leading 5-3 at the midway point. So it's set up very nicely for the concluding session here, the 11th ranking title of the season. We started out with the best 32 players on the one-year ranking list. We're down to just 2. Neil Robertson going for his 2nd ranking title in 3 weeks. Graeme Dott his first for 13 years. Robertson in charge, in front, but only by 2 frames, by 5 frames to 3. Be sure to join us for the concluding session this evening here from the Cheltenham racecourse, with Neil Robertson on the resumption, needing 5 more frames to be crowned World Grand Prix champion for 2020. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage this afternoon. Be sure to join us for the finale, but for now from Cheltenham, it's goodbye.
Slalom between petrol and electric with Alpine Skiing and Citroën C5 Aircross SUV plug-in hybrid.
So we'll work our way through the loser finals for 7th and 8th, 5th and 6th, then the small final for 3rd or 4th, and then the big final for the win. So up next, Thibaut Favreau goes up against Mauerberger, then the first of the semis, Tumler and Ford, then the loser final, Kilde, Kranjec. Important points to be...
Bolshinov, who was quite sensational. They're your top 3. Great race, Mike. You know,